Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Andy Gipson, your Commissioner of Agriculture and Commerce, and I wanted to take some time today to brief everyone on the first of several Future of Agriculture Resiliency for Mississippi plan meetings that we have. That stands for F.A.R.M. We've got a logo here, and what it means is we're thinking about the future of agriculture for this state. I think as we gather today, as we have met here in our office today and worked with private sector leaders in agriculture from every different commodity group here to folks who are in the lending and also insurance, everyone agreed with this statement that agriculture nationwide is in a time of crisis right now. When crisis comes, and it does come from time to time, we have to respond. And I think it's worth noting that our President, Donald Trump, and our Ag Secretary at the federal level, Brooke Rollins, all of our congressional leaders in Washington, they all get it. We've heard from them as to what they're doing to address this agriculture crisis and working to get trade policy right for our farmers. But it's not going to happen overnight. And so as we began to think about this for the future, when we realize that agriculture is Mississippi's #1 industry, it is the biggest part of our economy, we have to give priority and focus and attention to the future of our state's ag economy. As we gathered this morning with our members of our Farm Plan Council, we talked about the big issues that our farmers face. I want to thank every one of these members. We had folks there from representing small farmers and also row crop farmers, cattle producers. We had the forestry industry represented. We had folks, experts from Mississippi State University, Dr. Keith Coble, who is a leader in terms of agriculture research and expertise. He gave about a 20 or 25-minute overview of the crisis in agriculture that we see nationwide. Depending on the type of product that we're talking about, whether it's soybeans or cattle, the situation is different for different reasons, but it all boils down to supply and demand. Supply and demand, basic economics. More supply means that prices are going to tend to be lower. Higher demand, coupled with the lower supply, means prices will be higher. So I take soybeans as an example of what we see as low demand around the world for soybeans and low prices for our particular beans, compared to cattle, which has low supply and high prices right now. Beef cattle are in an all-time record territory for sales, but that also has something to say for the future because our herd size is smaller than it's ever been. We have to rebuild that. On the other hand, soybean producers have abundant supplies of our soybeans. We're having record production all over America, and including here in Mississippi. And yet China, which has been the majority purchaser of our soybeans for decades, they've not ordered a single soybean from an American farmer this year. The reason for that is they have found a place to source their soybeans over in Brazil, down south of us. Brazil, which has been cutting down its rainforest, deforesting its lands, planting soybeans, and they're triple cropping soybeans. Actually, they have surpassed American production of soybeans from Brazil in recent years. And China, the reports that we saw today showed that China is buying 75% of its soybeans from Brazil and only about 19% from America, and that number may go down. So when you see the large global impact of issues like this, you have to stop and think, what are we going to do for the future of agriculture? Here at the state of Mississippi, we have decided to be proactive. That is why we have announced and launched this Farm Strategic Planning Council. We will be traveling across the state, meeting with farmers, with producers, with folks who are stakeholders in the agricultural economy. And it's important that we get this right because agriculture is not just the biggest part of Mississippi's economy. It's the backbone of all of our rural towns and communities scattered across rural Mississippi. The seed stores, the equipment dealers, the folks who run a restaurant, a cafe where the farmers go to eat. It all trickles down to every part of our local economy. And we've got to focus like never before on the importance of agriculture and on making sure we can do today the things that we can do to make agriculture stronger and more resilient for our future. So today, some of the issues that we covered in our first meeting, for example, the forestry industry right now, forestry. We've seen about 7 or 8 pulp mill closures across the Southeast, including one here in Mississippi lately. Paper mills, because people are not using paper like they used to use. They're not printing newspapers like we used to do. We're moving very quickly to a paperless society. So we should not be surprised when a pulp mill closes down, a paper mill shuts down. But we have to be able to respond to that and find new or different ways to use these products so that our timber producers still have the benefit to keep on farming. When it comes to soybeans, we talked about the market share of China and how to replace that market share. I know that the President and our Ag Secretary, USDA, and myself included, we have been around the world to find new markets to try to fill up the hole that China has left. But the China market is so large, we're going to have to get innovative about different opportunities to use soybeans, whether it's for oil or other processes. They tell me there's a way to create jet fuel out of soybean oil. It's called Jet A, and it's a real process, and it really can work. I met with a farmer in the Delta last week who was really advocating for that. Well, what we're going to do is go across this state, get the best ideas, and I'm a big believer that the best ideas come from the people of Mississippi, the people in every community, because the people know what's happening in their local area. The farmers know what they're dealing with. And as we work across the state over the next several months, we want to invite you, agriculture producers, or the public to participate. I'll give you the list of our upcoming meetings that we have. Our first meeting is going to be in the Mississippi Delta, and it is set for December the 11th at 10 o'clock a.m. We'll meet at Stoneville Research Facility there in Stoneville in the Delta, and that'll be a good time in the winter when farmers can come, get away from their production, and take not a break, but come to give us their ideas on things that need to be done. Now, we're looking for ideas not only in terms of the industry, things that might need to adapt or change, but also policy recommendations for our state leaders, for our legislature, for our Congress, the folks in Washington, D.C., and rule makers. So we welcome those ideas. The second meeting will be in Hattiesburg on January the 21st at 10 o'clock a.m. That'll cover the southeastern part of the state, and that'll include a lot of our produce. We're a powerhouse of produce production in southeast Mississippi, and that'll be an important aspect of that meeting. For the northeastern part of the state, we'll be at Verona, just outside of Tupelo, on February the 4th, 2025. Northeast Mississippi has a diverse ag economy in terms of row crops as well as cattle production and a lot of everything else. In fact, there's even some poultry in that part of the country, getting to be a lot more of that as we look to the future. Southwest Mississippi in Brookhaven on February the 26th at 10 o'clock. And Central right here in Jackson. We'll meet here to wrap things up on March the 6th at 10 o'clock a.m. In addition to trade, one of the biggest problems that our farmers talk about is labor, the lack of available and willing labor workforce. And that was echoed not only by large farmers, but also by small farmers that were here today that just could not get help that they need to get the crop in. And so from that discussion, we talked about new technologies, and Mississippi State University is working on technology innovation to help get us across that issue for the days ahead. In the poultry industry, which is located primarily in the southern part of the state, insurance affordability is a big issue. I've been hearing about that for a couple of years. It's the very, very major issue that we have to tackle. And the other interesting factor is, for years, the entire agriculture industry in America was built upon the premise that the world population is going to continue to grow and grow and grow, and just grow at a high rate of population growth. And Dr. Coble brought out today in our meeting that actually the latest information is that the world population is slowing in key markets like China, in key markets like the European Union. They're not only having little growth. They're not having growth at all in terms of their population. In other words, people are not having big families. Our children, a large number of children like they used to have. So a lot of the assumptions that were made about future world population and the demand for these products may prove to be not exactly correct. All that to say, these are high-level issues. They're important issues, and we're going to focus on them. And specifically, what can we do in Mississippi today to make sure agriculture remains strong for the future of our great state? And I'm excited to help lead this charge. As I mentioned, this committee, this council is private sector agriculture leaders. We did have some legislators here. We appreciate them, and we'll continue to work with them and welcome their input as well. But at the end of the day, these are industry issues that the industry knows better than anyone else. And one of the big ones that I just want to close with as we think about the future is consider that the average age of the farmer in Mississippi is retirement age, okay? If not retirement age, nearly retirement age, 61, 62. And for many farmers, in a difficult situation like we're facing this year, many farmers may decide, you know what, I'm done. I'm going to the house. I'm not going to farm anymore. And the question we have to answer is who is going to fill their shoes, in the words of that song. Who is going to take the place of the retiring farmer? Who's going to own our land across the state and operate these farms? Who's going to be able to go take out a loan and buy equipment that is so expensive these days to keep these farms going? We have got to get our young people plugged in, and I think the key to that is through our workforce development programs and also through our community colleges. I think it's very important that we strengthen the Mississippi State Extension Service and Alcorn Extension Service that reaches out into communities to help farmers, beginning farmers, know what to do most efficiently to keep these farms going. We have to focus on the next generation. So, in my opinion, that is probably the greatest focus that we will have as we look to the future is who are those next generation farmers. Just this morning, we kicked off a new year of our Commissioner's Agriculture Youth Council. It's something we started about 3 years ago to find young people who love agriculture, who are passionate about agriculture, about farming. They may have grown up on a farm, they may not have, but getting them involved, showing them the opportunities. And there are going to be tremendous opportunities for young people to get involved as we look to the future of agriculture. As we navigate these difficult days, we are going to get through this. We are going to persevere. Our farmers are resilient, and we're asking and calling on our Congress to act to help bridge the gap between where we are now and where we need to be. I know that they're working on passing a new farm bill this fall, and I encourage them to get that done. And it seems like we have to have that conversation every year, but we have a great delegation in Congress that is working for us, fighting for our farmers, and we appreciate what they're doing. Getting this done to make sure that our farmers can continue farming and then paving the way for the future of agriculture down the road. So, all that to say, this is probably the most significant initiative that I have launched since being Commissioner of Agriculture, because we're not thinking about today only or tomorrow. I'm thinking about 5 years, 10 years, 15, 20 years down the road. What is agriculture going to look like? Who's going to be behind the wheel of agriculture for the future of Mississippi? And that is the question we're going to help answer, and we're going to make recommendations at the end of our fact-finding mission across the state in March or April, whenever that wraps up. We'll gather again and we'll craft policy recommendations for our state leaders, for our legislature, for our federal leaders, and for our Congress to look at things that we know that need to be done. You know, we can't solve this China market disaster overnight. We can't solve that overnight. We cannot force them to buy our soybeans, for example, but there are innovative things that we can do to try to bridge that gap, and that's what we're going to be looking at for the days ahead. So thank you all for covering this. I want to reemphasize one thing. Agriculture nationwide is in a time of not only great difficulty, but I would call it a crisis. And when these things happen, we have to pull together and we have to get the facts and then move forward together and find out how we navigate this to get to the other side. 3 years ago today, we had a disaster, the Jackson water crisis, you may recall. The city was without water. The city government could not operate. The state governments had no water here in the nerve center of the state of Mississippi, and we were working with the governor and MEMA and the National Guard to help navigate. What do? We were able to stage that response here at the fairgrounds, and in a very public way, able to help get from where we were to where we needed to be. Make sure people had water, make sure people had their basic needs to survive till that problem could be fixed. The same type situation exists now for agriculture. The lack of markets, the unprofitability, the high cost of doing business, all of that is contributing to a crisis, and we will navigate it. We're going to do it thoughtfully, we'll do it prayerfully, and working together, we'll get from where we are to where we need to be, not only as a state, but as a country, and for the future of agriculture. Thank you all for being here. I will take any questions. Yes, sir.
Just double checking. You said Jet A?
Jet A. Jet A. Jet and the letter A. That is a...
Now the question. What can this existing do about insurance? Poultry, there's, 5 counties that are the industry hub, and those are located in pretty weather fickle, for the lack of a better word, area.
Yes, we have a very fickle weather area across the state, as a matter of fact. We're known for tornadoes. Some people would call parts of the state Tornado Alley. We have a lot of those types of challenges. We also have the hurricanes and straight line winds that come through. So we have our share of natural disasters. We have our share of weather problems, and insurance is too high. I mean, it's very high. It's expensive. I get those calls from poultry farmers regularly, and the thing that we have to do is to make those houses stronger and to help make them more resilient. That's something that we have been working on for quite some time, looking at different ways to get that program rolled out for our poultry farmers. The same type of issue applies on the Gulf Coast, for example, and for homes to be strengthened. Everybody knows that situation. But the insurance rates are so high, there are not enough people writing that business, writing the insurance coverage for that type of coverage. So it is a big issue. And in fact, Commissioner Cheney was here this morning talking about that issue, and we welcome his input on what we do going forward. Other questions? Yes, sir.
To what extent is the trade war started by President Trump affecting Mississippi's agricultural exports? Because I know that in terms of agricultural products, Canada is our largest trading partner, and they placed a 25% reciprocal tariff on us in response to what the U.S. put on them. So how is all of those shifting lines and tariffs affecting?
Well, I tell people the trade war didn't start under President Trump. It started years ago when, as I said, China stopped buying our products. For example, last year in 2024, America had a $32 billion agriculture trade deficit, meaning that America purchased more ag and food products inside our country than we sold outside of our country. So that trade war has been going on for some time. What the president is trying to do through these tariffs is to bring these other parties to the table. And it is taking some time and it's taking some effort. But there have been some successes in deals. And for the Philippines, there's some movement on the EU, the European Union. And it's not a question of whether we're in a trade war. We were already in one when President Trump took office again. The question is how we're going to win this war. We have to win it. And yes, it's had an impact. It's had an impact on trade. But the big hole that we have to fill up is that China hole that's, used to be they bought 50% of American soybeans. That was our biggest market. And now it's gone away because they've moved to Brazil. They bought from Brazil. And finding a way to fill that hole up would be a silver bullet. I don't think there's a silver bullet overnight. I know there's not. So we have to do what we can in the meanwhile to get better trade deals wherever we can. India is a good opportunity. It's a great opportunity. But you see that, we have to not only negotiate a better trade deal for our products, but we also have to tell them, you want to sell your products here to America, you're going to have to do a deal with us. It's a two-way street, it's been a one-way street for way too long.
This year, 2/3 into the year, where in total, our total agricultural exports, how does it measure up against
Okay.
For the same period last year and the year before, like I'm just trying to.
A report, USDA issued a report that the ag trade deficit, which had been projected, I think, for $49 billion, has been now reduced. So I think it's been reduced several $billion, but that is not enough. Obviously, we had to keep reducing that. We had to solve that ag trade deficit, but it is going the right direction. That is a change from the past 4 years. All right. Yeah, I do.
Let's talk about the one beautiful bill. Reference prices
Mhm.
have gone up.
Mhm.
You know, when that bill.
Yeah.
That act, well, it's an act now, excuse me. Have you been in touch or have you had conversations with the president, the congressional, delegates? Secretary Rowlands was here last week about bridge loans, partial payments, because as of now, it's October 26th is when farmers will get, the money.
Mhm.
They're saying, we need help and we need help now.
Yep.
I was talking to a couple of farmers last week, and that's what they need is help.
You're exactly right. And farmers did support, and we praise the one big beautiful bill for what it did do for farmers. It did a lot of good, and it's continuing to do good, and not only in terms of the reference price increases for next year, the payments will come in October of next year, but also the tax stabilization and keeping the tax increase from going up and other equipment costs and so forth. So it's a great bill. It did a lot of good. But yes, the Ag Secretary, Brooke Rollins, was in town last week. I did meet with her, and we talked about, I actually presented her some information about the need for those bridge payments to get across from where we are today until 2026. And I hear some good positive reports that there's a lot of appetite, a lot of support for that concept because, frankly, the window for adjusting all these market crises is closing very quickly. It looks like it's not going to happen in 2025. So the only solution for that is going to be through some mechanism that Congress will adopt in terms of the bridge payments, or perhaps USDA will be able to execute. And I think that we will. I'll be surprised if we don't see something like that in the weeks and months ahead.
Okay, my final question. Why is everybody shocked about Brazil buying trying to buy it from Brazil? Brazil has a history. Look at wood. Look
Yeah.
timber.
Hmm.
I covered the oil industry for a decade and a half. Petrobras, which is the national oil company out there, they've undercut every people. Why are we so shocked that Brazil has taken soybeans, and why weren't we prepared for this?
You know, that's a great question. I don't think people are shocked about Brazil. I think it's happened a lot faster than anybody realized. And one of the things that's being investigated right now is the deforestation that's been happening in Brazil. The United States Trade Representative has opened a case to investigate the very quick deforestation, and they estimate that as much as 91% of a lot of these soybeans that are being sold now as a result of the deforestation. So they're they've upped their game very quickly, and I think it's clearly in concert with China, which is not our friend. China is not America's friend and not going to be America's friend, it looks like. So we have to figure out how to navigate this for the future and find a way to win this trade war in a way that we find better markets, newer markets, and we may have to diversify some. Who knows? But we're gonna study and look at all this for the days ahead. Yeah.
You said that you're going to take everything y'all learned on the statewide tour to craft policy recommendations for 2027. That you would anticipate, putting out any policy recommendations for the 26th session?
Oh, yeah.
I know you won't be over then, but I imagine that farmers have been, talking to you about statutes they'd like change or regulations for a while.
Yes, we will have a package of 26 recommendations that we've already known. I mean, the insurance issue is one of them, for example, that we know about. There are others that were discussed today that everyone knows about. One of the big issues that I think you're going to see is property taxes. Property taxes in the state of Mississippi are going to be adjusted because of the required adjustment to account for valuation. Every county is going to make their own decision, but I would predict that by the time January gets here, there are going to be a lot of people across Mississippi who are facing a higher property tax bill, and the farmers are those people. There'll be homeowners that do as well, but farmers are definitely facing that. So I think that's going to be an issue that's going to have to be addressed and looked at for the future. I know that the counties are looking at it right now. Every county makes its own decisions in terms of property tax, and some counties are able to offset those inflationary increases with millage reductions or other actions, but that's going to be a big issue. And I expect that we'll have some other issues, some of them that we could do internally. I've asked USDA I'm asking USDA to issue some waivers on some in a very similar way to the things they did back during COVID to make it easier to farm and less burdensome. But there probably will be some other legislative requests that'll be presented in 26. We'll have a full report by this time next year, 26. Yeah. All right. Well, I want to thank you, and I just want to say to the people out there who are watching, I tell everybody every time I get an opportunity to thank a farmer. But when you thank a farmer now, really, sincerely, look them in the eye, thank them, because our farmers are doing the work we have to have done for our food and fiber, for this country, for our state, and it's never been harder for many of our farmers than it is right now. So sincerely, I want to say thank you to all our farmers. We're going to get through this, and thank a farmer whenever you see them. Thank you all. God bless you. God bless America. God bless the great state of Mississippi. Thank you.